I didn't just give it to the others to do. I came and did it myself. And that was life-changing. Oh, you made me feel uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, and I don't just mean a little bit uncomfortable. Sometimes you would put me on the spot in the role play. You saved me hundreds of thousands. The skills you taught me, you didn't save me. The skills you taught me to embody, and the little couple of minutes conversation about that divorce negotiation saved me about 300 grand. Straight away. So I haven't never paid you £300,000, have I? I mean, I paid you a lot of money. I think your training is probably more high end than low end, and it's not a case of paying a guy £1,000 to come and talk to an audience for 4 hours, and then if you asked everybody the next week what did they learn last week, they wouldn't remember anything. I mean, it's mentoring, isn't it? I mean, what you actually do is tormentoring. I'm proud to say the two other guys on my team that you trained, one of them is running multiple businesses very successfully as an entrepreneur and is extremely happy in his life situation and family, and the other is earning sort of 120 to 150,000 pounds working for one of the UK's leading waste and recycling companies. So these guys that you gave the training to and skills with me have been hugely successful since those days. My name's Steve Burnett. I am now the retired ex-founder and owner and vendor of a waste and recycling equipment business, a nationwide operation that I started in the year 2000 and that I sold in the year 2025. So other than that, I'm a father of 4. I'm happily settled but not married, pretty much in a good place in life, I think. So
Lovely. So when people see where you are now
yeah.
with the sale and the freedom, what part of the journey would they never guess you lived through?
Oh my word. I mean, so many different parts, really, isn't there? I mean, the first 5 years was just madness because I had no idea really what I was doing other than I knew I could sell whatever I chose to sell by putting in immense amounts of hard work. So the first 5 years was just a constant of 18, 20 hour days, 6 days a week. It got a little bit easier once we sort of got to grips with systemizing the business and getting some help, albeit there was a number of mistakes there. But I think probably the toughest period would have been COVID. And I guess people sort of look and think you own a business. It employs, anywhere 14, 16 people mostly. It's got a big factory. It's got machines all over Britain. You've been doing it for 20 years. You drive a nice car. You must be wealthy. And COVID, 18 months, I took no salary at all to keep the company to survive through COVID. So everything I had saved, everything I put by to try and pay off a chunk of mortgage, everything I had ready to pay HMRC, everything went. And I ended up coming out of COVID personally, tens of thousands of pounds in debt, and sort of way more than that behind. So yeah, I guess most people wouldn't have seen that, and how hard I had to work through that to keep the business going. But I always had my eye on the prize, which was to keep it going and sell it. So yeah, I think most people sort of assume you own a business, life's cushy, you have good holidays, you drive a nice car, and it probably isn't just that. That's like 5% of it.
Well, again, when you look at the failure rates of businesses, 80% fail within
Mm,
the first 3 years.
yeah,
So to make it through 25 shows a certain amount of resilience.
yeah.
I'd like to go back to when we first engaged one another. Uh,
Mm.
what what was the tension showing up within your business? So what was breaking or slipping that caused you to reach out first of all and connect with
Yeah.
me?
To my recollection, I found you, or you came across my feed on LinkedIn, and I sort of looked and thought this guy's making sense. And did I reach out to you? I think I probably did. I don't think you cold called me. Cold called me. I think I
I
reached
haven't
out
cold
to
called
you.
since 2004, so no.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just trying to get it straight. So, yeah, why did I reach out to you? I think I got divorced in 2015 from an 18-year, very unhappy marriage with 4 children in a very messy and somewhat aggressive divorce. And that really knocked me for 6. My family life changed immensely. My children moved 250 miles away, and I had to effectively buy back, half of my business as part of the divorce settlement. So that really knocked me for 6, and I really lost my mojo. But about that time, I employed a managing director and a head of sales and a head of accounts, and a sales team, and was really trying to embody the advice that the definition of a business is what's the word, a profitable enterprise that works well without me. And I was like, okay, cool. I want to be a business owner, not the guy that's heading up and doing all the hours and hours that I'd done in the previous 15 years. But my business wasn't ready for that, I don't think. Looking back, although it was all part of the growth and the journey. So although it was a couple of lefts and rights, we did survive it. We stayed on our feet. Yeah, I realized that I couldn't replace me easily, even with a team of 3 or 4 people. So I wanted to get some training for those people because they weren't performing. I hadn't trained staff. I'd never been a sales manager. I'd just been a self-employed, hard-working sales guy. I had worked for other people, but I'd always been field-based, home-based, and I'd never really needed a lot of training or whatever because I just threw myself at it. And I was I had a team of people that didn't do it like I did. And therefore, I sort of started asking questions and looking at their performance and realizing that it wasn't good enough and I needed to find some help. And the way that you speak on LinkedIn and the way that you taught me to speak on LinkedIn is to speak into your potential client's pain. And you did that very well, hence me reaching out to you over other sales trainers. You were on my feed, you were completely unique. So that was what made me reach out.
Thank you. So, how did that tension show up every day in terms of founder dependency, in the numbers, the people, your sleep patterns?
Yeah. Um, Okay, every day, if I was available to the team, they would always ask me to make every decision. And that wasn't just the sales team; that was the service team, the accounts team. Everybody, if you're there, they always go, "Well, let's just ask the boss to see what he thinks." So I had to sort of break that, which kind of did by default get broken because my personal life was really affecting my work life, and I found I wasn't able to focus. I think, to my understanding of what happens in life is you've only got so much capacity in your head, and if you're using 98% of it at work, there's only 2% left for wife, kids, family, home, whatever else. On the other hand, if you're using 98% of it for wife, kids, divorce, pain, court cases, tears, emotional breakdown, mental health issues, you don't have a lot of it left for work. And I kind of got sidetracked away from work, thinking that all the guys were there would do a good enough job, and they did do a good enough job, but it wasn't as good a job as I would have done. So therefore, I was always sort of trying to bridge that gap, if you like, and build a high performing team rather than as a team that was sort of adequately performing. I wanted to keep improving. I wanted my business to thrive. That
So,
makes sense.
what do you think you needed back then, and what turned out to actually be missing?
Oh, what did I think I needed? I think I needed probably I wanted someone to become me and take my responsibility. I wanted someone to fill my boots, to do my job, and to be paid to do it, and to do it as well as me. Um, and that sounds really big-headed, doesn't it? But if you own your own business and you know your own craft and you've really applied hours and hours and days and days of it, I always used to joke I've done 2 lifetimes work in one lifetime. Probably not really a joke. And I was trying to find me. And in a way, I did find me through the whole process, but that was much more of a sort of personal journey. I was trying to find someone to replace me, and I never really did. And in the end of that sort of arc of divorce, I remarried and then got divorced a second time. I remarried a couple of years later and got divorced again in 2018. So my personal life was quite painful and chaotic. And then I never really got my mojo back, and then COVID kicked in. And fortunately, I did the training with you. I didn't just give it to the others to do. I came and did it myself. And that was life changing, profound for me when I realized what I was doing wrong or what I could do so much better in sales to weed out the rubbish and just not bother trying with it. You know, push away and get the ones that just time wasters. Just don't bother with them. Don't waste your time. So get far better results from far fewer prospects because you're dealing with the right prospects. That was what I needed, and that was life changing in many ways, not just at work as well. So yeah.
So, when we started working together, what told you immediately that this wasn't just another sales program?
Oh, you made me feel uncomfortable. Yeah, and I don't just mean a little bit uncomfortable. Sometimes you would put me on the spot in the role players, and I was just my whole way of sales was to do my absolute best for everybody. So I think I already had the understand your client. Put myself in their shoes. I was honest. I had integrity. I had a whole load of really good skills and was succeeding. I'm selling to major businesses, shopping centers, hospitals, property companies, major retailers, multiples. The biggest names in the world. Some of them. I'm really some absolutely world class businesses, and I'm selling to director level of those, and doing really well. But oh my word, I was wasting so much time with people that just weren't ever going to buy from me. Um,
Was there a moment or a single conversation that you suddenly flipped the switch and you realized, oh, this has got to be so much easier doing it this other way?
Um, I think I can't say there was a single moment. I'm not sure that I'm always a light bulb guy. I think I'm sort of I reasonably got what you were saying, and I reasonably understood the every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And when I really sort of started to do that, you used to say you will sit there and you'll need a pin to poke your legs so that you don't laugh. When you can take yourself out of the emotion of needing that business, just don't give two hoots whether or not you win that deal or not. That is when you find that all of a sudden I'm thinking in my head, I need a pin, because you can literally play a prospect. It's sort of a playbook. I don't mean play as in cheat. I mean play as in understand the question. I need you to tell me what's wrong in your voice so that you believe you. Those kind of revelations, those moments when I actually got it and then started to try it. And like you said, to start with, just try it on some whatever prospect comes in. Just try pushing them away. Try pushing back. Try telling them they're not big enough for your business to deal with them. You think they haven't got enough money to deal with you. I mean, to be rude, almost. What I felt was rude. I mean, not to do it in a rude way. There's a lot about tone and about how you deliver what you say, but to not be afraid to say no, to push your ground, to challenge, to reject and push away. And the people who truly do want to do business with you and have connected with, what it is that you're offering and why they need it, they're the ones that keep saying, no, no, but I just need to, no, you're not understanding me. This is what's wrong. And they're telling you. And it's just like, you taught me to get other people to sell what I was offering to themselves.
Lovely.
Is that,
So, yeah, no, that
yeah.
absolutely, you've encapsulated it beautifully. So, after that shift and letting go of the attachment to the outcome, um, what's really stuck with you in life?
Everything is a transaction of some sort. Every relationship, drama triangles. Oh my word, drama triangles. Victim, persecutor, rescuer. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that as in the thing. I now have that knowledge inside me and respond in the right way to those moments without really thinking about it. But yeah, the drama triangle has stayed with me in life, and I would say that that's helped me much more in relationships. It helped me when I got divorced and we had the settlement. You'll recall there was some hundreds of thousands of pounds on the table, and you gave me some advice about push away and say no and whatever. And yeah, she wanted me to do her a favour and let her borrow from the pot so she could get the house she wanted quickly. And I mean, don't get me wrong. She was never undercut. Goodness me, she came away with a 5-bedroom detached house. But the fact that she really wanted that, and I kept pushing away, was that made a huge difference in my life in personal. So the skills you taught me, and we had a little conversation as those moments were coming. If you remember, those matters
Do you remember?
were yeah. So that made a huge difference to me. Yeah, I mean, I try not to manipulate others, but I just think I understand myself and others so much better now that I get better outcomes for me and them in almost everything.
You
But
sound like you're actually fully present in the moment as opposed to catastrophizing and fictionalizing stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't want to jump too much off subject and bring God in, but God is important in my life. And one of the things I say about forgiveness and having my past forgiven is that my past is forgiven. I believe in God. My future is secure. I know where I'm going. I know what will happen at the end. In my heart, I know for me what will happen at the end. What you and others think is up to them, but that's a whole different conversation. But it enables me to live life in the moment. I did the 12 steps when getting clean from addiction in 2005 to 2008, well 2007. I've been clean since, and in the 12 steps, you keep short account. You're present. You're not letting your sins drag you down. You ask to be forgiven at the end of every day. So you confess your sins. If I've upset you, I need to speak to you and make sure that I say I'm sorry and ask for your forgiveness. So that's dealt with. I'm not dragging it along. There's not, and in the same with myself as well. If I've got it wrong, I don't beat myself up. I forgive myself, which enables me to live in the moment in every sense. And I find that the best way to live.
Interestingly enough, that's why we've set up Sellers Anonymous, and it's built to a large extent on the 12 steps.
Okay,
So Charlie Green has gone through AA as well.
right.
He wrote the best book that's ever been written on sales called Trust-Based Selling. So yeah, that's why we've set it up. So for people who've um, escaped the trap of being overly transactional and being self-serving,
Right.
so that you're focused on serving the customer, because we
Mm.
exist because of the customer, not in spite of them, which I think
Yes.
is what many people seem to have forgotten.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, sales has the potential to be very much a take, take, take business for me as a salesman. And there are so many sales guys out there that just say whatever it takes to get the order and clear off into the sunset and leave the customer with the wrong thing. And I mean, I've never done that. I mean, just right from the start, the person that I am, the way I was brought up, I don't do that. I never have. But I do see and I have employed and fired folk that do that. And I do see it happen so often. And I don't think it's the right way to get through life. But equally, us salespeople, the ones that make it in sales, whether or not we're successful or just because we put ourselves on hard work or that life's learning, but we're often the people that will celebrate a win with a party or commiserate a loss with a party, which means that lots of salespeople are using drugs and alcohol and pornography and gambling and whatever to make themselves get that buzz that they get when they win. Either to build on that, I've had a great order this week, let's go and get smashed, or I lost that deal, I'm absolutely gutted. Let's make myself feel better. So addiction and the 12 steps, I think you would find over the years, probably many salespeople, many sort of type A personalities have found themselves where I found myself deeply addicted to crack cocaine after a lifetime from I'm always fortunate. In 1989, I started clubbing when the acid house scene started, and I've loved it ever since. And I still go to day raves now. I love the music, and I feel very privileged to have been there through the 90s when it was raw and new and first sort of thing. But of course, a lot of drugs came with it, and when you're there for the wrong reasons, changing how you feel, drugs and alcohol and other things that stimulate your serotonin when you feel good drugs can be incredibly dangerous because all of a sudden what was a pool party in Ibiza with all the sunshine, the music, the women, all of a sudden you're at the far bank of the Zambezi River facing a 50-foot mud wall and 100 crocodiles coming to get you and no idea how you're going to get out. And I don't know where it changed. Just one day I was in trouble. So fortunately someone threw a rubber ring down and hauled me up. But like I say, that is another story. We're going off topic a bit.
We'll
So
have to explore that one another time.
yeah.
So bringing it all back into the business then, what actually changed in terms of your results, profit, time, team energy that you could feel and you could measure?
Hmm. So, well, I saw improvements in my own sales turnaround. I mean, I think we trained in 2017, 18, 19, maybe
Yeah,
20, something like that. COVID forced me back into the business. I remember a call with my managing director where we worked out that if lockdown carried on and the phone didn't ring and nothing was going on and the sales team were performing as poorly as they were, we would be out of business in 3 months. That would be it. The money would be gone. So at that point, I took some radical decisions, and what was it they called it? The scheme they ran during COVID, where you could furlough. That's
following.
right. So yes, so a couple got furloughed, a couple got fired, or whatever. But in the end, even after the first 3 months, looking at the money, I realised I needed to get back in and get on my game because I could do everything that team of four guys were doing, guys and girls. So I let them all go. Brutal. It hasn't worked out so bad. I'm proud to say the two other guys on my team that you trained, one of them is running multiple businesses very successfully as an entrepreneur and is extremely happy in his life situation and family. And the other is earning sort of 120 to 150,000 pounds working for one of the UK's leading waste and recycling companies. So these guys that you gave the training to and skills with me have been hugely successful since those days. Which
I'm so,
sometimes me closing the door gave the one of them who works for himself now the kick up the backside to change his life and do what he really wanted to do, and he's now smashing it. So he would only thank me for what happened in furlough and COVID and whatever there. So
I'm so delighted for them.
mm.
And okay, so which results mean the most to you personally, and why that one specifically?
Um, the results I've always enjoyed. I mean, if we're getting into individual sales, selling machinery, I started out selling things in the baler business that cost 3,000, 7,000, 10,000, and my final major success was a 1.7 million pound order for a system that we sort of co-created through various manufacturers' products and brought together and installed the first system in the UK. That for me is I started out selling, I don't know, paper yachts, and I ended up selling a battleship. Yeah, that was very satisfying, to finish my career on such a high. And it was another trainer, Brad Sugars, that said, "Don't be afraid to add zeros." And very early in my sales and work, self-employed work life, I did subscribe to some of his newsletters and read his books, and even went to a conference once And I took on board a number of those sort of nuggets that he repeats. He's got some sort of certain sentences and mantras, a bit like you have. You know, yours is if your foot's hurting, it's probably because you're standing on it. It's yourself, and I use that all the time. But yes, that was that. Don't be afraid to add some zeros. You know, don't think that you're limited to sell things that cost 100,000. Why couldn't you sell one that was a million? You know, why couldn't you sell one that was 10 million? I never got there, but you know, mostly what I sell to sell a 1.7 million pound order would be phenomenal and most unusual. Other than that, obviously selling the business at the end, it feels so satisfying to have started something in the year 2000 after I'd been doing it for a couple of years. I went to the bank with a pound, borrowed £3,000 to buy a car, had enough money in the bank to last 3 months, and it had to work. And to have started like that from my garage, literally with a curtain over the garage door and an extension lead and a desk, and I'm still sitting in that garage now, actually. But 25 years later, to have sold that business for some millions of pounds to a, you know, one of the UK's leading companies, I can't tell you that doesn't feel fantastic, because it does. I do feel like I succeeded, uh, largely because of people. I mean, I could never have done it on my own. So I do have to thank so many people along the way: employees, staff, trainers, you know, colleagues, family, all friends, all sorts. But it's never a one-man job. It is definitely a team sport. So, but yeah, we got there.
Absolutely. Well, selling and running a business are a team sport, and
Mm,
anyone who thinks otherwise is clearly delusional.
yep.
Um, so you obviously went through COVID, but you also had massive health challenges as well. And
Yes.
you still managed to turn this business around. So what were the core principles in business and in life that kept you steady?
Oh my word. I think my faith, in the end, you know, I come to see life as a giant 3D game of snakes and ladders. If you're lucky, there's occasional random bouts of naked twister thrown in. But you never really see what's coming until it hits you. Some days that's brilliant. Some days you literally get a phone call out of the blue, and within 3 weeks, you've just got an £800,000 order. That wasn't on any prospect sheet. I didn't have it in my pipeline. Those kind of days are fabulous. But then equally, you can go to the dentist on a Tuesday, who refers you to the head of head and neck cancers for the Southeast on Wednesday. And 9 o'clock in the morning, his secretary rings and says, "Can you come in today?" And you're like, "Okay, that's a little bit quicker than I was expecting. Sorry, I can't come in today, but I can come in tomorrow." "Okay, come and see us at 9 o'clock tomorrow." And within 5 minutes, he's like, "Yes, you've got throat cancer. I just need to prove it." How am I supposed to feel about that? I'm sitting there going, how am I supposed to feel about this? Like, I didn't feel like I'd just been kicked in the stomach. I just didn't know what to feel. It wasn't until about 3 hours later, when I got home and literally collapsed shaking on the bathroom floor, that it kicked in. I had lost I've lost a number of friends to cancer. I've seen my father go through a brutal cancer battle and rounds of chemotherapy. Just at the beginning of lockdown, I had a friend at the beginning of lockdown, and at the end of April in 2020, he was already dead. I didn't even know he didn't know he had cancer at the beginning of lockdown, and yet within 6 weeks he was dead. So you kind of got all those things going around in your head. You know what I mean? Is this all of a sudden? I didn't see that coming at all. And I asked him, "Is it serious?" He said, "If we've caught it quickly enough, it's very treatable. If we haven't, it's very serious." I'm like, "Is that like deadly dying serious?" He said, "Yes." So yeah, those are moments you can't plan for or repeat. Um, but yeah, certainly the faith. Oh my word, yeah, yeah. Going through that faith and trust in the team as well. I always knew I wanted to sell the business. And looking back, actually, cancer was fantastic for me. It's been so good for me. It cured my obstructive sleep apnea, because they cut everything out of my throat that makes me snore and choke and not breathe. So now I sleep better. It cured my dependency on sleeping tablets, because 7 days in hospital, and then I had 33 days of radio therapy and 3 rounds of chemo in the months following that. And there was no room for my little dependence on sleeping tablets. I got off that. I was on a lot of painkillers and morphine and all sorts of other stuff, but so that got me away from what I was using to sleep. Sleep was such a battle for me personally with the apnea, and quite possibly would have killed me. I don't know. Yeah, cancer solved that. It's improved me as a person. No doubt, I now so much value my friends, my family, my partner, all those that love me and that I love. It's definitely changed my priorities from, you know, I always put work first, and I didn't from then on. And I just switched off for a year. I needed the time to go through. I didn't even know if I was going to be alive by Christmas. Do you know what I mean? I found out in October. I didn't know if I was going to be dead by Christmas. So I literally just told everyone, I've got to go. I'm sorry, I've got to go. So you lot can prepare for life after Steve. So crack on. You know, you've got to leave me alone. I can't even think about work. You cannot even give me any stress at all. Nothing. So sort it out yourselves. And they did. We survived. They made profit. We never didn't make a profit in all of the 25 years in the business. So, you know, much as they all thought they needed me, they didn't need me as much as they thought. And if I look at our business, we went from a £750,000 net worth and maybe £150,000 pre-tax profit in 2020 to a 2.5 million net worth and just short of 500,000 pre-tax profit in 2024. And we concluded the sale in February 25 on those figures. So the everything just went up. Everything got better, despite me not being there. and
Well,
we and that proved that the business didn't need me. So it was now a business. It was a saleable commodity,
well,
and we
again,
sold it.
that
Yeah,
disease of founder dependency is holding so many founders and their businesses back.
yeah,
And one of the things I definitely may have mentioned to you is that small businesses stay small because the founder keeps it that way.
yeah.
So I think you embodied that there rather well in that story.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't sort of deliberately do it on purpose. I always wanted to sell the business, but I guess I mean, I'm 57 now. So, in 2023, what are we, 2 years ago, I was 55. And I wasn't expecting to get diagnosed with cancer and really fight for my life, because I did fight for my life. It was a stage 3 diagnosis, and I've come through it very, very well. They reduced it to stage 2 when they found I didn't have any in my lymph nodes. So I have a 75% chance of 5-year survival. I've lost weight since then. When you knew me in 2020, I was a 16.5 stone, muscly guy. I'm now running, 2.5 stone lighter, which is good for me, for my cardio, for my knees, for my hips, for how I move, for my energy levels. My sleep is better. I choose to eat better. I lead a healthier life. All in all, I think, it has stopped me just thinking of work. You get really hooked up in your groove. You get stuck in your blinkers are on. You're so focused because that's what it takes to do it that you miss life. And getting cancer made me smash those blinkers off, drag them, just drag me off somewhere else entirely. And as I look back on it, I'm absolutely cool with cancer. Only because it didn't kill me. I'd be pretty peeved with it if it had. But I guess the best bit of advice anybody gave me, and if anyone's watching this, 1 in 2 of us will face cancer. So try and remember this. The best bit of advice is it's not a cancer battle, because a battle takes cortisol, stress, adrenaline. None of those things are good for you in here emotionally, your peace, your spirit, your heart. And cancer does tend to focus your attention. If you didn't believe in God before, you may well find yourself praying. I always believed in him anyway. But I was advised to reach an accommodation with cancer, to consider that I would be traveling with cancer for a period of time, but the day would come when I would look over my shoulder and go, bye, see you, cancer, thanks. And that is exactly what happened. I'm the lucky one, of course, because I met so many people that will be dead by now going through my treatment, but I can only live in my life and deal with what I've got and be grateful. I am incredibly grateful for cancer, for surviving it. I'd be incredibly paid off if I hadn't. Uh,
Well, you described what you've stripped away that you don't intend to bring back.
mm,
I'm curious, when you made the sale of the business and you finally stopped,
yeah.
I'm curious, what did that freedom feel like?
Oh, the stress of concluding a sale, which was a pretty quick sale as well. I mean, we almost got it by the end of October, but then the chancellor threw in a rather unhelpful budget, with lots of increases and stuff. So they put it on ice, and we picked up again in December, and we sold in the middle of February. And so I think as transactions go, it was a very fast sale, but it was incredibly intense through December. Well, all through it, really. I mean, September, October, then it fell over. No one talked to us in November. The conversation started again in December, and we concluded the sale with all the lawyers and a 156 page document. I forget what you call it now. I didn't know. Sale of terms, or I can't remember. But anyway, it was all done. I mean, just hugely, hugely stressful. Really, really unsure whether it would happen. They really played hardball. It's down to the wire kind of thing. There's nothing nice about someone buying your business. They're not doing it because you've done a great job and they're pleased to pay you. They want every single penny off, every single way not to pay you. So very, very stressful. And then suddenly in the middle of February, Valentine's Day, I woke up and it was done. It was sold. A load of money had been transferred into my account. More was coming in 6 weeks, and a little bit more 3 or 4 weeks after that. Done. Oh, just floating, literally floating, absolutely floating. And although they contracted me to stay on for 6 months, they really didn't want me. They did nothing with me. And eventually, after 3 months, they gave me 30 days notice. So I stayed on for 4 months. I did everything I could to help. It took me about a week to type up and pack up everything and hand it over, which I did. And I, sent all the right stuff to the right people and explained everything, and, lots of notes and everything. But that was a week's work. It was done. And then I was free. So, personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach twice a week, lunch with family and the missus and friends, and long walks, and just, the freedom, the the knowing that I'd succeeded and the knowing that I didn't have to be ready to dive back in when it all went wrong, when my star performer left, or when COVID kicked in, or when a budget smashes something, or when a major account's been, it's just not my responsibility anymore. And I absolutely love that. After 25 years of having to say to my various, to the three wives, if you like, the third is the wife of my heart, I've said to them all, hold on, I've just got on holiday, round the pot, I've just got and I'll disappear for 2 hours and do a quote. Now I don't have to say that. Now I don't have to say that to her at all. I never say I've just got to, and it's wonderful. I have to say it's wonderful. So
So, if a founder sitting where you were in 2020 asked you for one piece of advice, what would you tell him or her to do or stop doing first?
if that founder is looking to get out in the next 5 years, I would say start now. Um, put things right, make sure that your house is in order, and get some professional advice, probably. I did have various levels of professional advice from others, although we didn't end up using anyone to sell the business as such. But my brother-in-law, who has been very successful in his own life, he's done a 5 million build and sell, an 11 million one, a 23 million one, and then a 75 million one the year before I sold mine. So, and he has also bought and sold numerous companies for other people whilst working for them. So he was very, very comfortable in the situation, and I could never have done it without him, and I couldn't have done it without one of my other directors who was on the numbers, an accountant who was a 10% shareholder in the company as well. So, as was my brother-in-law. So having those two guys invested in the business was hugely helpful for me. We would never have done what we did without those two guys. So yeah, if you're thinking, oh, you'll get to 60 and sell, or maybe sell, but when you want to retire when you're 65 or something, I would say don't be afraid to start now. Put things in order, because it's a long process and it's a difficult process, and make sure you've got the right team around you. And I truly do believe that the experience. I'd never sold a business before, and the people that bought me bought 18 transactions last year, so they have a professional business buying team. And and get a good lawyer. I can recommend you one, definitely. We had a great lawyer. My brother-in-law said he wished that the lawyer we had been with him on his journey and had been his lawyer. So yeah, I can recommend you a great lawyer, and get that team around you to start with. Don't be afraid to spend a bit of money, because you'll need it.
Can I just go back to the beginning a little bit
Mm.
for a moment? I'm curious, before we started working together, what did a normal week look like before things started breaking?
Okay, so yeah, when I was flying, and we did have some very good years in the sort of, say, 2010 to 2015. We had got the business systemized. We had a managing director in place, not the one that joined in 2015, but I had a great sales guy. Yes, a normal week. I've always been a night owl, not an early bird. So they say the early bird gets you the worm, but I used to think of each day from sort of 10 or 11 o'clock. Nobody really wants to see you early, not to talk about rubbish. So I would be out on appointments as far as I could be from 10, 11 o'clock through till late afternoon. I'd get home, throw a bit of tea down my neck, out to the office, and the evening was for typing, quoting, prospecting, emailing, dealing with leads and inquiries. And I would often see daybreak before I went up to bed. My missus would be coming downstairs as I was going upstairs, and I would exist on 3, 4, 5 hours sleep, 5 nights a week. I had got to the point then when my weekends were sacrosanct. So I would then be sleeping 2 12-hour nights, Friday night and Saturday night, probably Sunday night as well, then as well, 3 12-hour sleeps, and then exist on sort of 8 or 12 hours for the rest of the week. So unhealthy, so stressful, so bad for me. And got very overweight. I was up at 19 stone in those days. I'm a little under 14, or a little over 13 and a half now. So very, very big difference in weight, and health, and therefore life outlook, and energy levels. But yeah, it was a battle, and I was relentless. I just would not back down.
So, looking back, what would have told you 6 months earlier than when we first engaged that you needed to act? What were the
Probably,
clues that were in?
probably listening to those that love me. I've never necessarily, I mean, we all do what we do for our own reasons. So it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Most of the time, we do what we do for our own reasons.
Yeah.
And I was being nagged consistently for years to slow down. You're going to burn out. It's going to affect your health. You're not looking after yourself. You're not eating properly. You're not sleeping properly. You're overweight. You're in a mess, Steve. Even though you've sorted out your addictions in 2005, 6, 7, I was doing counselling from 2005 to 2013, sorted out my mental health a lot. I was still hadn't worked out my addiction to work, my addiction to success, my total focus, my blinkered focus on I'm doing this. And I guess, yeah, if I could look back, I would love to have the conversation with 15-year ago me now and tell him what I now know. But of course, we don't know. what we know until we know it, do we? So
Um,
yeah.
okay. So was there any point where you thought, actually, I'm going to carry on doing this myself? And you were looking at our interaction and saying, well, maybe I'll just put the brakes on this.
What, on training with
Yeah.
you? Well, it was expensive, and in the end, I did put the brakes on it. Um, good don't come cheap. Y- Um, yeah. So yeah, was it? They say you can have really good, really quick, and really cheap, any two you like.
Mhm.
And your training was just, I cannot tell everybody how life changing that was for me. It enabled me to change from doing 100% to doing 25%, but selling four times as much from that 25%. So it really did change how I worked. And when I dived back in 2020, I was the best version of me I've ever been. And hence you see the business. I mean, the figures don't lie. That's 750 short of 200,000 up to 2.5 million, just short of 500,000. Yeah, that's a cracking little business. What am I saying? You know what I mean? A lot of people would envy those figures.
You did 300% over how long?
Well, from our we posted at the end of October each year our figures. So the October 2020 figures were the 750 and 195, and the October 24
For 4
figures.
years.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. That's a
But that's a
big
tough
difference, isn't it?
business to grow 300%.
Yeah, through COVID and through cancer as well.
Wow.
I mean, I'm going to say it, mate. God is good.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, and Marcus. Yeah, God and Marcus. God and Yoda.
More Jabba than Yoda, I think. Um,
Bless you.
so when you finally said yes to the training, what made you trust that it was the right move?
You get what you pay for. If it's you reversed me on my negotiations, didn't you? I mean, I just realised if I want to learn to do what this guy, I can't be afraid to pay him what he wants. But I expect him to deliver value for money, and you absolutely did. I've had a return on my investment multiply. I mean, tens of times, more. Probably, I couldn't even put a figure on it. I mean, you saved me hundreds of thousands. The skills you taught me, you didn't save me. The skills you taught me to embody, and the little couple of minutes conversation about that divorce negotiation saved me about 300 grand straight away. So I haven't never paid you £300,000, have I? I mean, I paid you a lot of money. I think. I mean, I think your training is probably more high end than low end, and it's not a case of paying a guy £1,000 to come and talk to an audience for 4 hours, and then if you asked everybody the next week what did they learn last week, they wouldn't remember anything. I mean, it's mentoring, isn't it? I mean, what you actually do is tormentoring. And not everybody's going to get it, but I want you to make me feel uncomfortable. I want you to challenge how I think and feel and understand. And the level of knowledge that you pulled out of my head after 20 years of sales experience, capital equipment. I've been doing that since I was 21, selling printing and materials handling equipment before getting into waste handling equipment. You literally turned it on its head. So I mean, it's hard to put a value on it, but I could have paid you twice as much and still had a massive return. I keep
I've
looking away
got
from the
three
camera
good
because I'm
quotes.
looking at you on the screen, so it looks like I'm looking away, but I'm actually making eye contact with you there. I should say it there. I could have paid you twice as much and still had a massive, multiple return.
Thank you. So last couple of questions then. What surprised you most about how fast the changes took hold?
In my skills and those of my colleagues who were working for me then, so in that sort of when we started training to whatever, I would say it probably took about 6 months for me to start to see in myself to be confident enough in going through the ways in which you were pulling out of me and teaching me in role play to separate myself from the outcome and almost to exist as a third party in the moment, and to look at things with the psychology of the reversing of the pushing away. That is the most important thing I think in sales, because the ones that want to be pushed away and are never serious will push away. Then you don't waste your time with them and you focus on the ones that argue with you, and you're almost rude but not in a rude way. You're rejecting but politely and lovingly. It's a strange win, but when you feel comfortable with that, that's when the magic starts to happen. So about 6 months in, and then it started getting better and better. And then I was super ready for what life threw at me in 2020 and again in 2023. So COVID in 2020, cancer in 2023. The sales guy that I'd taken on 3 weeks earlier, I had literally given him a 3 week crash course in Marcus Calki 101, and he got it as well. And he's having huge success in his own right now as well, still working for the company. But he got it very quickly and he held the fort. I mean, I literally employed him. He had 3 weeks of me, then he didn't. I mean, maybe he spoke to me twice in a year after that. A young guy, so he did really, really well. So yeah.
Wonderful. Steve, thank you so much. This has been very inspirational for me,
Thank
and
you.
it reminded me of why I do what I do,
Yep.
among
Keep
other
on doing
things.
it as well, please. Don't stop.
Well, I've got quite good since then. But,
Oh, how much should I be paying you now? No, stop, stop.
but yeah, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much. I
No, it's a
can't,
pleasure. It's been a
yeah.
pleasure, Marcus. I mean, I'm all in Marcus Kalki fan. So I don't know what else to tell you. You know, I mean, we've always connected and liked each other. You just make me feel so bloody uncomfortable. I like you. You're like counselling for sales. When I went to counselling, that made me feel uncomfortable. You make me feel uncomfortable the same way. So it's self growth isn't going to be comfortable, is it? If it's stroking me and my ego, it's doing nothing. Sorry, I'm looking at you again. But
No,
yeah,
no,
so
no one comes to me to be their friend. They come to
no,
me if they want an outcome.
yeah,
And if we let our need to be liked get in the way of the result that the client is paying you for, you do them nothing but a disservice.
yeah, yeah. But you, as a trainer, must recognise as well that it is better when we all get along, and there is
Mm,
like respect. I mean, you and me could go out to dinner. You and me could go to an exhibition for 2 days. You and me could never speak again. All three of those outcomes will be absolutely fine with both of us.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you moved around the corner, you and me could go for a pint once a week for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? It could be any of those things. The chances are we'll talk occasionally over the years. And I'll always be happy to help in any way I can. And if I ever need that help, who knows what I might decide to do in the future? I may decide to start another business or something like crazy like that. Who knows? Did I just say that? I don't know. I'm going to write a book first. That's my first challenge is for next year is to write my life story because I know you know some of it, but there's loads we didn't talk about. So yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
All right, mate.
Steve
I'll come
Burnett,
to get you to help me sell it when I've written it. How about that?
thank you.
You might be able to do the foreword in the sales section, something like that. Anyway.
I'd
All
love
right,
to.
mate. Yeah,
Thank you.
cool. Right, mate.
Steve, thank you
Pleasure.
so
Right.
much. Take care.
Cheers now. Bye.
Bye.